Hi everyone, welcome back. This week in Level F, we're going to be going over lessons 97 through 100, and you'll need worksheets 78 through 81, the practice worksheets 10 and 11, the fraction chart with the puzzle pieces, the math journal, the math card games book, the fraction cards deck, and the basic number cards deck. In lesson 97, we will be multiplying fractions and whole numbers. After the oral warm-up questions, I want you to write out 1/3 times 12. Let's take a look at what we can do with this equation.
Okay, so if we have the equation 1/3 times 12, what does that mean? This means 1/3 taken 12 times. Now, if we wrote this 12 times 1/3, that means 12 taken only 1/3 times. So not a whole 12, but 1/3 of 12. Do we end up with the same answer? Absolutely. This would be 1 times 12 over 3. So that would be 12 over 3. And our answer is 4. Same thing here. 12 times 1 is 12 over 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we get the same answer, but we're looking at the problem differently. This is 1/3 pieces taken 12 times. So you could even put out your fraction pieces and ask your child, if you took 1/3 12 times, how many pieces would you have, right? And then how many holes would you have? You would have 4 holes. This is 12 taken only 1/3 times.
Okay, so after going through the 2 example problems with your child, go ahead and have him or her complete the worksheet and then ask the in conclusion questions and play the game mixed number times a whole number, which is F43 in the math card games book. In lesson 98, we will find a fraction of a fraction using the fraction pieces. The warm-up is on practice sheet number 10. Let's take a look at some of the examples and a problem from the worksheet.
Okay, so the first activity that your child is going to be asked to do is to find 2 of the 1/3. So here we have 2 of the 1/3 pieces. And ask your child, how can you write this as an expression? So an expression is simply an equation without the equal sign or the answer, right? So 1/3 times 2, or 1/3 taken 2 times. And the question is, what does the word of mean? Remember in my original question, can you find 2 of the 1/3? Of is the same as multiply in a mathematical sense. Now you'll ask the question, how much is 1/2 of 2/3? Well, 1/2 of 2/3 is just 1/3, right? How can we write that equation? We can write that like this: 1/2 times 2/3 equals 1/3. The next activity asks for your child to find 1/3 of 3/4. So here we have 3/4, and I want to find 1/3 of it. Well, that's pretty intuitive because there's just 3 pieces in 3/4, right? So 1/3 of 3/4 is 1/4. The next question is a little bit trickier. It says find 1/2 of 3/4. So you have these 3 pieces in 3/4, and we're going to find 1/2 of it. Well, we can see right away if we just split it down this 1/4 here, that this would be 1/2 and that would be 1/2. So we just need to find out where we can find a fraction that's not, that goes in equally, that's not divided. So it couldn't be 2/6, for example, because you still have a little bit of a 1/6 over here. But what could it be? It's lined up exactly with this line here. So that means the answer is 3/8. So a half of 3/4 is 3/8. Okay, so the second problem on the worksheet is asking what is 2/3 times 1/2, or what is 2/3 of 1/2. Now on the worksheet, they give you a partial fraction chart, and it does not include sixths. It only goes to fourths. So your child is going to have to look at estimating where the thirds are on the 1/2. Now, if they're having trouble, I would pull out the big fraction chart and have them line up a piece of paper or their ruler with the sixths and the 1/2 and see, okay, yeah, there's 3/6 in 1/2. So here would be 1/3 and another third here, right? So 2/3 of 1/2 is 2/6, which corresponds with 1/3. So my answer, what is 2/3 of 1/2? My answer is 1/3. Now, some kids will be able to visualize that, not seeing the sixths down here. They'll be able to look at the chart that's given to them on the worksheet and go, yeah, that's about 2/3 right there. Oh, my answer is 1/3. But just in case they're having trouble, go ahead and pull out the big fraction chart and have them see where 2/3 is of 1/2. So then their answer is written as 1/3. So 2/3 times 1/2 equals 1/3.
Okay, so I hope that helped. Just remember, if your child does get stuck working on the worksheet, go ahead and pull out the full fraction chart so that they can look more in depth at what the answer might be. So after the worksheet, you can ask the in conclusion questions and play whole number times fraction war game, which is F38 in the Math Card Games book. Lesson 99 has a correction. So if your book was printed before December 15th of 2019, go ahead and click on the link in the description to find out what that correction is. In this lesson, we will be multiplying a fraction times a fraction using the area model, which is my absolute favorite way to introduce multiplying fractions. The warm-up is on practice sheet 10. Let's take a look at how to use the area model to solve a multiplication problem.
Okay, let's say that our problem is 1/2 of 3/4. I'm going to first draw a square, and I'll start with the second fraction and divide this square into 4 pieces. And I do it this way, the long way. So I'm drawing vertical lines. And so I have 4 pieces. And how many of those pieces do we have? We have 3. So I'm going to cross hatch 3 of those pieces. Now, to make it easier to see, you don't have to use different color, but I like to. Now I'm going to do this fraction. So I'm going to divide the square in half, going the other direction horizontally, and I have 1 of those. So now I'm going to cross hatch going the opposite direction of the one that I went for the 3/4. I can see now that I have 8 squares, rectangles, really, 8 rectangles, and how many of them are double crosshatched? There's 1, 2, 3. 3 double crosshatched rectangles are in this square. So my answer is 3/8. Now let your child work through the worksheet and solve all the multiplication problems using this area method. You will probably be very tempted to explain or teach the algorithm that we all know, but please don't. Let your child discover it, because we'll be talking about it in the next lesson, and we'll be asking questions that lead to that discovery on how to solve fraction multiplication problems. Okay, so for now, let's let them work through this, because they will be led to discover how you can solve these problems without drawing the area model.
Okay, so you can finish up this lesson with the in conclusion questions and fraction times a fraction game, which is F39 in the Math Card Games book. In lesson 100, we will discover the algorithm, the one that you were probably really tempted to share with your student yesterday, for multiplying fractions and use it to solve problems. The warm-ups are oral questions in the lesson book this time. Then we will dive right into the worksheet. Have your child complete the first 3 problems and then ask the questions on the second page of the lesson book. Through these questions, you will have led your child to discover the algorithm, that in order to multiply fractions, all you simply have to do is to multiply across, the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. So go ahead and play the fraction times fraction war game, which is F40 in the Math Card Games book, and then ask the in conclusion questions. That's all for this week. I hope you have a wonderful one. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.